Hey everybody, this is Will.
This is Stacy.
This is Ryan, and we are the Rust. This is another great episode of ETX Rocks featuring Harry Luge.
From the great state of Texas, this is the latest episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. Nestled in the piney woods of East Texas, the ETX ROCKS Show delivers the stories and songs of talented artists of all genres, all styles, from the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond. We bring a passion for music and a drive to go behind the curtain with our guests. We focus on all artists, from LA to New York, Nashville down to Texas, and everywhere in between. ETX is our location, not a limitation. Now, as always, it's viewers and listeners like you out there that are our biggest support for the show. If you want to contribute to the show, please do so by donating to www.paypal.me/ETXRocks, and thank you for tuning in. Wherever you're tuned in, please hit the like, follow, and or subscribe buttons. And now, for another great episode of ETX ROCKS. Hello everyone, I am your host today, Boston Chris, and this is episode 223 of the ETX ROCKS Show. Our guest today is no stranger to the big stage, having performed with Merle Haggard, Martina McBride, Eric Church, Brad Paisley, and a litany of others. He also is no stranger to the radio and television, as he has starred in over 30 national commercials by the age of 12, has had singles on the radio. But now, this Scottsdale, Arizona native and veteran of the Arizona country music scene is throwing his hat into the ring of Texas radio with his debut Texas single called Drunk in My Drink. Harry Luge is an incredible country music artist reminiscent of a cross between Tracy, Byrd and Travis Tritt, with a little bit of Waylon Jennings sprinkled in for good measure. Guys, we are super thrilled to welcome Harry to the ETX ROCKS Show for the very first time. Okay. All right, guys, so this is Boston Chris with the ETX ROCKS Show. You're tuned in to episode 223, and we're talking with Harry Luge, who's from Scottsdale, Arizona, and you picked like the worst time to come to East Texas, I think.
Well, I think it's awesome, man. You know, we don't get a whole lot of weather in the area that we live in Arizona, so coming out here and seeing some snow and some ice and slipping around like we're ice skating, it's pretty cool.
So it's probably still like 95 degrees in Scottsdale.
Yeah, right? I think they're laying out by the pool right now.
Yeah, it's not fair. And I've tried to tell them that this does not typically happen in East Texas. We're actually freaking out, like especially everybody other than me, because as you guys know, I'm from the Northeast, so I mean, driving around on ice is no big deal for me. It's other people that I have to worry about,
right?
You know, because they don't know
people like us.
Well, yeah, I mean, today's not too bad. You know, there's patchy ice here and there, but you know, we're behind people and they're like slowing down over the ice. They don't realize as soon as you hit that brake on that ice, that's the worst thing you can do. So in the future, guys, if you're paying attention and you see ice on the road, just glide over it. Don't touch nothing. Don't touch the accelerator, not the brake, not the steering wheel. Just glide over the ice. You're going to be fine, I promise. So that's how you deal with ice.
Driving Tips 101 with Boston Chris.
That's right. But anyway, so you brought your guitar today, and you're going to play us a couple of songs. So tell us a little bit about the first one.
The first song is called Music and Wine, and it's a song I wrote. You know, I love small towns, and I love honky tonks, and I spent a lot of time growing up in one, and it just happened to be on Main Street. And it seems like a lot of the places that I sing at are on Main Street. And
cool.
So I just felt like it was a good story song about your typical honky tonk.
So you guys check this out. It's Music and Wine by Harry Luge.
You can find me down on Main Street, singing songs that you might know. It's just a simple little dive, nothing fancy inside. So come as you are, and when you're down on your luck, just trying to survive, and I'm looking for love and a new way to fly. Oh yeah, you can pass the time through the music and the wine. So go on, girl, let your hair down. Ain't it nice to unwind? Go on, have yourself a smoke. Listen to some jokes. Leave your cares behind. And when you're down on your luck, just try to survive. And I'm looking for love and a new way to fly. Oh yeah, you can pass the time through the music and the wine. Oh yeah, leave your cares behind. Through the music and the wine.
All right, so we are back. You guys just listened to Music and Wine. Now, is that an original song to you?
It is, yes. It's one I wrote not too long ago, and it's on our brand new album that's coming out called Keeping It Real.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for you to hear the whole album.
And what a great name for an album, because it's so true, guys. This guy is keeping it real.
Oh, thanks.
Country music, right? Is that what you mean by keeping it real?
Yes.
Well, you're definitely accomplishing that.
Oh,
because,
thanks, man. I'm going to hang out with you more often.
Well,
look at this. Jeez.
Yeah, man, you're welcome anytime.
Right on.
We're in East Texas, man. This is how we treat our folks here.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, man, there's so many damn different like inflections of different kinds of country music within what I've heard from the album. So I would love to hear about your influences, especially as a younger guy, maybe dreaming about being a country star someday.
Oh man, as a young guy, I think that probably Chris Ledoux is probably one of the biggest that really rocked me. I just loved his being. I loved everything that he was about. And his music was really powerful. He was an entertainer. Just a really, really awesome guy. In music-wise, I mean, stuff like Waylon and Merle Haggard and, the Willie Nelson stuff and everything like that, that always had a big impact on my life. Definitely love singing those songs. I sing them every night. But, as far as I never got to meet any of those guys. I did a show with Merle Haggard, a couple of those, and he was fantastic to me, and it was really quite an experience to do that.
That right there is that's a career right there.
Man,
like, played with Merle Haggard.
It was unbelievable, man. And it was really neat. I got to do a show with him in Phoenix, and I was so nervous. And during the sound check time, that's normally your time that you would get an opportunity to see whoever the main act is or whatever. And I was so nervous. I didn't want to wear out my welcome. So I was like, should I say hi? Should I not say hi? What should I do? And I didn't say anything that day. And when I got done with the show, and I was going down to thank the promoters and stuff for having me on it, I ran into the road manager for Merle, and I said, hey, I'd love to meet him. And he's like, we'd love to have you do the show tomorrow night. Would you be interested? And I was like, yes, woo, And so we went to a town called Pine Top. It's about 4 hours away from the Phoenix area, and we got up there, and so we're in the catering line getting food, and I see Red, the guitar player, and I'm like, man, I sure would love to meet Merle. And he's like, man, just go on the bus. He'd love to say hi to you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. So I, went over there with my guitar and went onto his bus and sat, and he was really welcoming. And I just sat there and visited with him for probably about 15, 20 minutes or so. And while we were visiting, he's like, do you even know any of my songs? And I'm like, yeah, you kidding me? Yeah, your songs changed my life. And he's like, oh yeah, he didn't believe me. And he's like, sing one. And I was like, all right. So I grabbed my guitar out.
Which one did you choose?
And what was funny, I told him, I said, I'm going to do a song that's one of yours, but I'm going to do it different than the way that you do it. And he was, okay. So I sang the song, and when I got done, I was so nervous I didn't want to look at him. I'm sitting there singing, I'm like looking at everything in the bus but him. And, and I get done singing, and I just kind of lift my head up, and he's let me see that guitar. And I handed it over to him, and he signed it. And,
wow.
It had a little, little note on it and stuff, and it was like, unbelievable.
What was the song?
It was the funny thing was it was Swinging Doors.
Okay.
And, so but I did it a total different way than the typical thing, and it was just a really amazing story for me. That was just to get to sit and
what an opportunity,
the legend.
Man.
Yeah.
So you might be one of the only people on the planet that's met Merle Haggard and Dick Van Dyke.
I highly doubt that.
So tell us about that. You know, before the age of 12, you hadn't been on TV so many times. That had to be interesting childhood.
Man, I'll tell you what, I was real blessed. I had opportunities that were put in front of me that I didn't realize were so amazing at the time. You know,
Right.
You're 5 years old and you're singing in a church play, and Dick Van Dyke comes up to you afterwards and says, "Hey, you know, I'd like for you to go sing on some telethons with me." And,
Wow.
You know, and my parents were like, "Oh," freaking out. And I'm just like,
You don't even know
where
what
do you
it
want me to go
is.
stand? You know,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
so I spent some time doing those telethons, which was a really cool experience. And then there, shortly after that, I was hooked up with a talent agent, and then they started sending me on auditions, and I was just getting placed in really good spots for those opportunities.
Right.
I did Captain Crunch and Lewis Ridge Turkey and Greyhound Bus.
And was
Slip
this all
Inside.
singing as well? or
Not singing
some-
at all. Just
Yeah.
really just acting, playing
Cool.
as an actor, and
Yeah.
doing Sonic drive-in commercials and being the car hop on skates, and all that stuff. So it's like just kind of what I did during that period of my life. And then when I got into junior high school, theater and those kind of things weren't really the most popular things
Right.
at school, so it wasn't something that I was driven to go do. And I tried doing the sports thing, and I was such a great basketball player. I know I'm so tall. That was probably the reason why I did so well. But
Right.
during that particular time, they wanted me to go play in the NBA, but I was just too tall, so I didn't. And then I decided I would go into music, and so where short people are welcomed. So
Yeah, you have to be. You can't be. What is it? You can't be vertically challenged in
Yeah.
the NBA. I don't
Yeah.
think, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of a prerequisite to being a basketball player. I mean, I'm 6'4", and I tried it, and I guess I'm too short even. So I feel your pain there for sure. So I mean, you did all this acting, and I didn't know that you started in church as well. So, I mean, what was the evolution process like? For you to go from the acting to I think I want to try country music.
I stumbled upon the music department in college, and I just started at Scottsdale Community College, and I was walking through to get to the parking lot, and I saw the music department, and I kind of went through there, and I saw this really cool studio that they just built, and it was all this really professional equipment and stuff, and I thought, wow, well, I want to be involved in that. That looks awesome. So I took some of those classes, and then that just kind of really, my dad owned a little honky-tonk bar, your typical dive.
Was it on Main Street?
It was, yeah. And it was your typical dive spot that, would have the corner stage and, real dark, and, would have the jukebox and a couple pool tables, and,
Yeah.
it was
Karaoke on Friday
yeah,
nights.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I started off doing the karaoke, hosting
Oh,
karaoke,
nice.
and begging my dad for shifts, and he wasn't too keen on the idea at first, but over time, he saw that I was pretty hungry for it, so he eventually gave in. And then, shortly thereafter, I was, working 7 nights a week at that bar, doing
Wow.
entertainment of some kind, whether I was singing with the band or whether I was hosting the karaoke. And then I started traveling around trying to, be an independent artist when that really wasn't the most,
Glorious.
it really,
Yeah.
and it still is today. It's a tough task.
It's
People
tough.
have to go out there and be willing to work. So
Right.
thankfully, our family business is driven by my wife. So she's the brains and our driving force behind everything. So not only is she the most beautiful woman, but she's also really smart. So I get to soak in all of her knowledge and ride on her coattails a lot.
That's awesome.
And so it's been a really it's a big
That's the way
blessing.
it has to be sometimes, man. You can't do everything yourself, and you got to have somebody that loves you enough to have that same passion level that you do for what you believe in.
For sure.
And I think a lot of times, I mean, you're destined to fail if you don't have a second person that really helps you drive that bus.
I
You know
agree.
what I mean? So it's really cool. From Arizona, so at this point in time, you're trying to get more entertainment value out of what you're doing, whether it's karaoke, singing with a band, or what have you. So when did you first pick up a guitar at this point?
Really, I didn't start playing guitar until a few years ago. Probably I think it was in 07 or 08 that I started
Okay.
playing guitar. Before that, I would just sing and try to entertain. And I didn't, and writing songs and those kind of things. In Arizona, cover bands are really what
Right.
what all the bands are. So,
Mhm.
I spent the first probably 5 to 10 years of singing, just singing covers, thinking
Right.
that that's what you needed to do.
Mhm.
And I was doing a show with Pat Green, and he'd said to me, you know, you sing a lot of great covers, but do you do any original music? And I was at a festival in Wisconsin when he had brought it up to me, and I thought, wow, I can't believe Pat Green's talking to me. I was so excited that he was even saying anything to me. And he's like, you know, you should really focus on doing some original material. So I went home from that festival, and I focused on trying to write music heavily. And in Arizona, there's not a lot of songwriters, so it was, you know, it was tough to, you know, to kind of learn.
Right.
And the more I kept diving into it, and then I had a horse that was worth a little bit of money, so I sold that horse, and I took all that money and I used it to make my first album. And that album was called Ride, 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 and we went and, you know, tried to get rid of as many copies as we could off the side of the stage, you know,
Right.
and sell them out of my truck, and did that for a couple years, and then made another CD and just kept kind of going at it.
Right.
And as we were hitting the road hard, it can, you know, when you're wearing a lot of hats and you're, you know, driving the bus and writing the song and loading out the gear and loading up the gear and, you know, being the principal of the bus.
And at the same time, you're kind of breaking new ground for
Yes,
your
for
geographic
sure.
area
Yeah,
too. You know,
exactly.
you're trying to do something that's not, you know, readily available in your geographic area, which is songwriting.
Yeah.
So even changing the dynamics of the place around you can be difficult, I think. Because now, instead of being a cover band per se, now you're adding some of your own original.
Yeah, and that
stuff
was a tough challenge for me too, to know when to pick to play something that was yours, because
Yeah.
you know, it's real easy to get up there and get everybody, well, not real easy, but it's easier to get people to be involved with a song that they're familiar with,
Right.
and a song that they have never heard before. It's really difficult to get them to accept it and to dance to it, or, you know,
Right.
go woo, you know, or even go hey,
Exactly.
you know. So it's quite the accomplishment. You know, we always feel excited when we can finish a song and the dance floor was full.
Right.
And then we say, okay, I guess that one's worth playing again. And it took some time. My wife would always be telling me, you got to play your songs. No one's ever going to know your songs if you don't play them. And I go, I'm scared.
And
I'm
she's
chicken.
right. She's
You
right.
know, so we just kept doing it. And here we are now. This is our first time ever really having an opportunity to do a radio tour.
Right.
And just so excited that you invited us to come over.
No
and
problem,
hang out,
man. We were excited as
And,
well.
You know, it's everybody out here has just been so welcoming to us. And, you know, this brotherhood of Texas music is just something that we're real anxious to be a part of.
And it's awesome too to be, you know, part of that Texas music scene and seeing folks like yourself from out of state, you know, really finding an avenue with what's going on here in Texas. Because there's a lot of Texas country music here, you know, and there's a lot of red dirt and there's a lot of different subgenres of country music in Texas. But what you're bringing to the table is kind of like that old Beaumont sound almost, you know, like the Mark Chestnut, Tracy, Byrd. At least the new single reminds me of that.
Wow, thanks,
that
man.
that era of time, kind of like the old Mark Chestnut, like Little Too Late kind of
Oh, man,
songs. You know what I mean?
Love.
Except it's
that
got
song.
those modern lyrics.
Oh.
You know, and you guys are going to hear that song a little bit later in the episode. So make sure you don't go anywhere. It's called "Drunk in My Drink." You guys are going to love this song because, like I said, it's got the '90s inflection, at least in my opinion, but with modern lyrics, and it's really funny as well. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. I think Texas radio is really going to like this
Oh
song
man,
as
I
well.
hope you're right. Thank you.
No problem. So when did this song release?
Just last week. Yeah.
So beginning of January.
Yeah.
And this is your first foray into Texas radio,
it is.
really.
It is.
So you're trying to get the name out there in Texas. Are you planning on doing some gigs around Texas? as
Yeah,
well?
we have in February we have a show with Stoney LaRue, and we have a show with Sam Riggs, and we're building our calendar more. Right now, we're
Right.
we're spending the rest of this month going around and visiting stations and trying to make some friends, and then we'll be coming back and doing shows, and that's our schedule, our plan.
Right.
So,
Now you're also a family guy. You've got children and
Yes.
a wife, and so I mean, how do you balance all of this that you're trying to do, following your dream, with the family life and, you know, school and bills and all that stuff? How hard is that balance for you?
You know, I think that any career that you have to have that balance.
Right.
And fortunately, this is a career that my wife and I both love, so then it's not work. And the children are very supportive of it, and they're very excited. And you know, they've obviously seen the singing be part of their life.
Right.
And so it's something that we're blessed for these opportunities. So it's like, you know, when you want to make something happen, you can find time to make it happen.
Yeah. And do they freak out when they see you on stage or hear you on the radio or something like that?
I
Or do
don't-
you freak out more than they do?
I probably freak out more
Yeah.
than they do, but They've just been really supportive. We're really blessed with some amazing children, and they've taught me more than I could ever teach them.
Right. Very cool. All right, so we do actually have a couple of things in common. You started your own karaoke company at one point. I was also a karaoke host at one point.
Right on.
Actually got started with that prior to moving to Texas, so we're talking like the 90s
Yeah.
that I was doing karaoke, back when they still had laser discs.
Yeah.
And we also just both recently lost our daddies as well, so we do have a lot in common. A lot of the stuff that you do when you accomplish something, whether it's a new single or a new album or something, is the first thing you think about your dad?
I think about my dad every day.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you know, he was my best friend, so it was a big loss. And cancer is a real evil thing, you know, that affects so many families. But I know he's in a better place, and I'm hoping that, you know, that he's looking down and excited about our work ethic and the ability to continue to do stuff that I'm sure that he was excited to see us do back then. I'm sure that he's really excited to see what Tara has done with this business and with sculpting me into a better man.
Right. And that's important, you know.
Yeah,
and I think, like, you know, every time we accomplish something cool with the show, I mean, the first thing I think about is, man, I wish my dad was here to see this, you know. So it's always hard to have that part of you missing when you, take a new step or something like that. So I just wanted you to know that we had that in common, and the karaoke thing too. So now that you're kind of writing all this original music, and that's been going on for what, like 8-10 years, you would say?
Oh, probably more than that. I think the first CD that I finished was in 2001.
Okay.
So of original material.
All right, cool. So how did your Arizona scene take to the new music?
They've been very receptive to everything. It's been very, I've been blessed to be able to make a living singing songs and honky tonks and a lot of casinos and fairs and festivals and rodeos and wherever, backyard parties or whatever it might
wherever
be.
They'll have you, right?
Yeah, wherever we can sing. So Arizona is definitely my home, and a lot of family and friends that are out there, and it's funny how music can take you anywhere, but you always think about home. And like when you said, talking about my father, my father being from Arizona as well, there's a lot of folks that I'll meet that they'll say, oh man, gosh, your dad this and that, and so there's a lot of, Arizona, I can go to a place and play a show and someone can come up and say, oh man, I knew your dad, or hey, I went to school with your dad, or whatever.
Stuff,
It's powerful stuff. So I love hearing stories about that, and people come up and say, oh man, I used to race cars with your dad or whatever, and I'm like, oh cool, and just sit there and listen to the stories. And it's Arizona's been great to me.
Yeah. And so I've been to the Phoenix area once, and I don't really know much about the music scene there. With the release of new music over the last 10 plus years from Harry Luge, have some of the other bands maybe caught on that maybe, have you kind of blazed the trail for other acts in the area?
I don't think that's the case, but I do think that the scene is a great scene. It's just when you're talking about Texas music, it's really, that's the king of all the scenes.
Right.
Texas music is the spot where the audience is wanting to hear music, and country music is something that's embraced, and there's so many venues to play at, and the brotherhood of all the other musicians and all the people that want to help, and they want to help promote you, and it's just it's a total, there's nothing to compare it to.
Right. Yeah, the infrastructure in Texas is really cool as far as, not just the venues and all these artists, not from Texas, not only from Texas, but also from outside of Texas. Like Bree Bagwell, New Mexico. You got all these folks from Oklahoma and Colorado, and it's just cool to see it spread. And I think it's because of folks like Cody Johnson and Aaron Watts and Cody Jinks that are taking Texas music national, and it's so cool to see. And it's nice to have new blood, even though you're a veteran. You've been around music for a long time, but to hear something new in Texas is always good. And like I said, man, I love your list of influences, and listening to your music and trying to pick those out is a lot of fun for me.
I really appreciate the compliments.
No problem, man. So you do have a new album that's on the way. It's called Keeping It Real.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the record. Is it gonna be a full length album?
Yes. There's 11 tracks, and just so excited about it. It's got a little bit of everything. You know, it's got your Love Gone Wrong song. It's got your your Love Is Great song.
Yeah.
You've got your we've got another song that's called Man What a Woman that I just think is a fantastic song. It's just something I'm really excited about. And, my wife really loves it, and she's a really good judge of songs. So she's been telling me, you better play that Man What a Woman song. And I was like, all right, I'll play it. And so, there's just it's just an album that it's something I'm so proud of, and I'm just so excited to share it.
Right.
It's just one of those things that I can't wait for it. My wife and I, when we finished it here a few months back, we were wanting to leak it. We were wanting to do everything we could just to get it out. We were like, man, we just want people to hear these songs, and so it's
That's a long process.
It is.
And then a lot of times when you're wrapped up in that process, you can feel like, man, let's slow down. We don't want to rush this. We want it to be right. And
patience is tough.
yeah, it really is, especially in this business when they just, especially your fans. Your fans want to hear something new all the time, and feeding that fire can be really, really difficult. And what I love about you too, as well, I'm going to give you more compliments if that's okay. I'm a huge social media advocate. I think social media is so important, not so much in venues. I don't think venues should look at someone's social media to decide whether or not to book an act. That's not what I mean. What I mean about is connecting with your fans through social media, I think is so important. And you are doing that with a live show every Wednesday,
Yes.
I believe, right?
Yes.
And so when I saw this, I knew I wanted to talk to you about this, because I tell artists this all the time. Do a live weekly show, be consistent with it, and you'll see your social media following react. You will see a huge uplift in your followers, and you'll be surprised what you can do with just a straight, consistent weekly show. So I'd love to know why you decided to start doing this, and then why you decided to continue doing it.
Well, my wife said, you're going to do a live broadcast on Facebook, and I said, okay. That's how that started.
Wife is very smart.
Yes, I agree. And so then we started doing that, I want to say almost 2 years ago, and the Facebook Live feature was fresh, it was
Right.
new, and we started doing that, and we started seeing that you can reach people all over the world, and we started being able to make new friends, and that's what this whole thing is about.
And closing in on 30,000 likes on Facebook.
Yes.
And I'm telling you right now, this live weekly show is a big reason for that. I guarantee it. Your wife knows that already. I'm sure she does.
Yes.
And I'd be willing to bet that you probably had a couple thousand when you started this. And
you would be absolutely correct.
yeah. And so, I mean, that's 1,000% increase. And how many times have you missed a show, that Wednesday show?
The only time that we miss is that if we don't have service. If we're somewhere that we're, if we're driving somewhere, or if we're in a town that maybe doesn't have, good service for our phone carrier, or if we're at a place that doesn't have Wi-Fi or something along those lines. But we try to be real consistent, because like you said earlier, consistency is the key. So, we do our show on...
Consistency and connectability. Your fans want to hear your music, and they want to hear you talk. They want to hear something different. They want to hear stories. They want to know what makes Harry Luge different than every other artist on the planet. And that's what those live shows are for. They show you in a different element than being on stage. And I think fans love that.
Well, we've been real blessed with friends being able to tune in and to share it with their friends and their family members, and then just be able to take requests, and if there's something they want to hear, man, that's what I want to play.
Right.
And it's really neat. It's actually something that throws me back when we'll sit there and, like, for instance, just a couple weeks ago we had somebody that was tuning in that's serving overseas in Germany, right? And they're just waking up and getting ready for work, and they're tuning in. And then there's somebody that's tuning in from Brazil, and then there's people tuning in from back east, and there's
Blows
people,
your mind, right?
It blows my mind. I'm sitting there going, wow, all these people right now are tuning in, and we're sitting here playing songs, and it blows my mind. I sit there and go, wow, it's really the power of social networking.
It's so smart, man. It's so smart, and I think the more you branch out, whether it's Texas or wherever you go, those people are going to drive your bus for you. They're the ones that are going to be screaming from the mountaintops for you, because you were there for them when, you know, there was only a couple thousand of them. And now you're talking 30,000, and it'll continue to grow as long as you're consistent. And I say this all the time to people in our local area, just be consistent with it. You know, it's the same thing with our show. You know, we put out a show every Monday and Friday, and if I miss a week, I hear about it. Believe me, I hear about it. It's all about consistency and being connectable, and not ignoring a request or whatever.
Right.
And I know that can probably be difficult with 30,000 followers.
Oh, well, you know, you always want to be approachable.
Yeah.
And that's the big key, you know, and consistent. And you know, there's times where I'd sit there and say, man, I don't feel like doing the broadcast. You know, I've maybe had a long day, or really would rather take a nap, or whatever it might be. And we'd say, okay, we got to do it. And we'd go ahead and go through with it. And I'll tell you, afterwards, I'm always happy. I'm always going, man, I'm glad I did that. You know, so
yeah, because there's always somebody that'll probably lift you up when you're feeling that way, and re-energize you. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about that. I know you probably didn't expect to be talking about something like that.
No, see, look at Boston doesn't play around.
Yeah, that's true. I told you I do my research. All right, guys, so we're sitting here talking with Harry Luge. This is episode number 223 of the ETX ROCKS Show. Unbelievable that we've got this many.
I was just going to say that. I didn't want to interrupt you, but 223 episodes. Man. Dang, man.
June
You've been
1st,
the work
2016 is when we started this. And we took 3 weeks off this year, too, in between season 2 and season 3. That's the most I was willing to compromise with my wife. She wanted 2 months, and I was like, man, people will forget about us. So we settled on 3 weeks.
There you go.
Yeah, and I worked my butt off during those 3 weeks. We actually, during the 3 weeks off, I think I did like 15 interviews during that time.
Wow.
And we decided at the beginning of this season, which is season 3 now, we were going to give everybody a full week of episodes right in a row. And every one of them was a major name. Like we had Ronnie Millsap and Daryl Dodd and Waylon Jennings' son, and a few others, Ricky Lynn Gregg. But so we hit them all with all that stuff right away. It was
cool,
super
man.
cool, yeah. So 223 episodes, and we'll hit 2 years of this show in June. So we're still a ways away from 2 years. We definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in, but we're going to be right back with a surprise segment with Harry Luge right after this. Y'all don't go anywhere.
Hey y'all, it's Jake Worthington. I want to thank you for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
All right, guys, we are back once again. This is episode 223 with one and only Harry Luge from Scottsdale, Arizona. And we're going to play a little bit of a game with Harry.
I'm scared.
You should be. All right, so guys, if you've been following along with the ETX ROCKS Show, you know that we like to play What the Heck with our guests every once in a while, pretty much every episode, unless I'm intimidated by them. Then no. But we're going to play What the Heck with Harry Luge. Now, Harry, the way this works is I'm just going to ask you 10 questions, and I need you to turn your filter off. I just want the first thing that pops into your brain is going to be your answer.
All right.
So no filter. Just turn it off, throw it away, burn it, do whatever you got to do with it. And some of these questions might be silly, some might be deeper, so you just never know what I might ask. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, so guys, this is What the Heck with Harry Luge. All right, so number one, what happens, do you think, if you get scared half to death twice?
Twice?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, he won. That's how you win the game. Yeah. What do you think happens?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah. I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
I think, I have my opinion. I think that it depends on how spaced out they are. Like, if you get scared half to death twice really quickly, then you might be in trouble. But if you get half to death like on Tuesday, scared half to death on Tuesday, and then maybe 2 weeks later you get scared half to death again, I think you still have a quarter of a life left. You see what I mean?
I got you.
Just think stuff needs to reset. That's what I think. All right, number two, if a zombie bites a vampire, does the zombie become a vampire, or does the vampire become a zombie?
I'm going to have to go with the zombie becomes a vampire.
Really?
Yeah.
But the vampire doesn't bite the zombie bites the vampire.
Yeah, I just think that, what the heck?
Do you think the vampire just has more mojo than the zombie?
I think so, yeah.
He's more vampire than the zombie is zombie?
I think so.
I think that's a possibility. I think we should just take True Blood and match it with Walking Dead and find out.
Find out.
Come on, AMC and HBO, we need sponsorship here. Come on. All right, number 3. Where do you think Superman changes clothes nowadays?
Well, with there not being any phone booths anywhere, I would have to say probably in his car.
Really? Why does Superman need a car?
Well, so that he can drive around when he's not flying.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
You know, when he's
I was
Clark
thinking that
Kent,
might be
right?
why there's
Isn't that-
no more
isn't that-
Superman movies.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Just doesn't have anywhere to change.
Yeah.
Someone said porta potties. What a great question. Somebody's in trouble. Where's the festival? All right, number 4. What do you tell God if he sneezes?
Jeez, I don't know.
No idea.
No idea.
I would say maybe bless yourself or.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I've heard all the answers to this. So, all right, number 5. Are we on 5?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. So when cheese gets its picture taken, what does it say?
Grilled.
Yes. Now you're getting the hang of it. All right. All right. Number 6. You can listen to any artist for the rest of your life, but once you pick this artist, no other artists exist. Okay? So which artist are you choosing to listen to for the rest of your life?
For the rest of my life. George Strait.
Really?
Yeah.
Why George?
Because he's got the most hits.
That's smart. Yeah, he does have the most number 1 hits. So you would probably get the most songs out of it. At least the most well-known songs, I
Right.
imagine. Huh? I knew there had to be a logical reason there. Logical reason. All right, number 7. Why do you think the chicken crossed the road?
Well, not to get to the other side.
Okay.
It was because they were playing Frogger.
Really?
Yeah, and in order to get the trophy, you had to get across the street.
So the chicken was just trying his hand at Frogger.
Yes.
All right, makes sense. All right, number 8. On average, how often do you hurt yourself every week?
Usually every day, maybe a couple times a day,
So you're talking like 15 times a week.
at least. Yeah.
Wow, bubble wrap.
Yes.
All right. Number 9? Yeah. All right, number 9. If you were a cannibal, do you think clowns would taste funny?
They'd have to be funny.
But, I mean, they are funny, but do they taste funny if you're a cannibal?
I don't know. It probably tastes like makeup.
Yes! Probably. It depends on which part of the clown you're eating,
Right.
I think, right? But, yeah, you're right. Probably the face would taste like makeup. All right, number 10. Number 10, where do you think squirrels go during hurricanes?
Oh, jeez. During a hurricane, where would a squirrel go?
I'm asking somebody from Arizona.
Yes. You know, Boston, I have to say that your questions are stumping me. So I'm going to say that a squirrel might go to a stump.
Yes! Very good. That was What the Heck with Harry Luge. He won the game before we even started.
Woo!
Yeah, he did say what the heck. So Harry Luge is our first winner in a while. Most people are like, how do we win? I'm like, I'm not telling you. And then at the end, I'd be like, y'all didn't win. And I tell them, and they're like, dang, that's all we had to do? And then one time she was doing an interview, and she must have said the words what the heck like 30 times during the 10 questions, and they didn't catch on at all. It was so funny. So guys, we're sitting here with Harry Luge. That was What the Heck, episode 223. And so you are going to play another song for us. So tell us
Yes.
a little bit about this song. This is the new single, right?
Drunk in My Drink.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a fun song. It's a song that's about when you maybe go out and you party a little bit too much, and the next day you go, what did I do? And somebody tells you, and you go, who put that drunk in my drink?
Yeah. It's a great play on words, and like I said earlier in the broadcast, it reminds me of 90s country, kind of Mark Chestnut-like, and Tracy Byrd maybe even. And so you guys I think you're really going to enjoy this live acoustic version of the brand new single. It's called Drunk in My Drink. And guys, if you enjoy this song, make sure you're calling your local radio stations to request this song.
Please.
Wherever you live. I don't care if you're in Thailand. They'll play it if you call enough, I promise. We'll get those Thailand people just getting all
I like
drunk
your
in their
style.
drink. So you guys check this out. It's Drunk in Drunk in My Drink, right?
That's right.
So guys, check this out. It's Drunk in My Drink, live and acoustic, only here on the ETX Rocks Show.
2 Tylenol and some hair of the dog ain't how I really want to start my day. From what I recall, which ain't much at all, I don't think I can take all the blame. And I think I was dancing. Why was I dancing? I ain't got no swagger. I got moves like Haggard. Whatever they slipped me, sure dropped me and kicked me. Now I got my head in the sand. Who put that drunk in my drink? And those 3 sheets in the wind. Who gave that rum a big spin and knocked me off my feet? Who put that drunk in my drink? I got a real bone to pick with whoever it is. I must have let borrow myself. Those 70 texts they sent to my ex, well, they ain't going over too well. And I think I was streaking. Why was I streaking? It was way too cold to be that bold. Must have been those goggles that made me think they were models, giving out their numbers to me. Who put that drunk in my drink? And those 3 sheets in the wind. Who gave that rum a big spin and knocked me off my feet? Who put that drunk in my drink? Who got me wasted and ripped, hammered and lit, and wouldn't stop giving my arm a twist? Who put that drunk in my drink? And those 3 sheets in the wind. Who gave that rum a big spin and knocked me off my feet? Who put that drunk in my drink? I wanna know who gave that rum a big spin and knocked me off my feet? Who put that drunk in my drink?
All right, so we are back, man. What a great song.
Oh, thanks, man.
So you were telling me off camera about who wrote this song and stuff like that. Now you are a songwriter as well.
Yes.
So I mean, how do you choose a song that you haven't written?
Well, you know, I just if a song touches you and you think, wow, that's a fun song, or wow, that's a powerful song, or that's a story that I wish I would have told.
Right.
You know, then those are the kind of songs that you want to sing.
Right.
And this song here, when Rick Farrell is the writer on it, and when he sent it to us and we heard it, we just thought, wow, this is a really great song, and it'd be a fun one to record. So we did. We added it to the album, and it happens to be our first single.
And Rick is a very, very accomplished songwriter as well. You guys can definitely Google his works, man. You guys will be surprised on some of the stuff he's written out there. But I was telling him, it might have been on camera, but I just love the relevancy of this song in the 21st century. The different things in it, like text messages and cell phones and all of this stuff. The song makes sense for today, but it sounds like yesterday.
Oh, right on.
And that's a really cool thing. So you guys make sure you're requesting that song. And once the record does come out, we'll definitely make sure that we post a link for that as well.
Oh, I
we'll
appreciate
add that
that.
to the
Thank you,
description
Bosh.
at that time. It's called Keeping It Real. When's that going to be out?
We haven't set a release date yet, but I'm hoping within the next month and a half to 2 months that we'll be able to release
So
it.
by springtime.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I've got one last question for Harry Luge, and it might be the
he
toughest
scares
one.
me. He scares me with this one last question stuff. He does.
I'm only a little intimidated. It's the beard. So last question might be the toughest one. You ready for this? Who is Harry Luge?
Who is Harry Luge? Harry Luge is a guy that goes out and sings songs, and is just real grateful for the opportunity to get to do that.
Very cool. Where can folks find you on social media and your website? And I know that you have other music out, so where can they find that as well?
Well, our music's on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Google, all the
All
different
the places.
formats. Yeah, all the different formats on social platforms. On Facebook, Harry Luge Music. On Instagram, on Twitter, Harry Luge Music. On all platforms. You can go onto our website, harrylugemusic.com, and get all of our tour schedule stuff. And we have merchandise and all the different things. Our music's on there as well. And
Awesome.
yeah, trying to think of some other places that I don't want to forget, because then when I forget, then my wife says,
Well,
I
we'll
forgot."
put in the description below the link to your webpage.
Awesome.
And
Thank
I know
you.
folks can probably find everything else through there.
Awesome.
I imagine. I hope. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go. So guys, we've been sitting here with Harry Luge. This is episode 223. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Follow along with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're located at ETX Rocks. Make sure you please subscribe to us on YouTube. That'll help us out a lot. You can find us there at the ETX ROCKS Show. Also, our funding depends on our audience, so please consider contributing to our show, and you can do so at www.paypal.me/ETXRocks. As we always say on this show, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music, and don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
Howdy, folks. This is Aaron Watson.
This is Bree Bagwell.
This is Jake.
And this is Walter from Rocky Queen.
This is Curtis Grimes.
Monty Pittman.
This is Doug Supernon.
I'm Heather Little.
This is Rob Redwan.
Ho! Hey folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Lynn, and make sure to tune in to ETX Rocks with
Boston Chris.
Hello, y'all. This is Ronnie Millsap, and thanks for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Tough guy. Ho!
Hey guys, we're Blacktop Mojo, and thank you for tuning in to ETX Rocks.